Hi, ladies. This is Orchid Tao, your host of the Extraordinary Love Series, where the world's best dating, relationship, sex, and intimacy experts have come together to show you how to find your right man and create that truly fulfilling and lasting relationship you really want. And today I have the awesome honor of speaking with the lovely Bex Burton, who is a heart tuner and passion coach. Thanks for being with us, Bex.
Hi, Orchid. Thank you so much for having me. What a wonderful opportunity. And hello, everybody out there in the audience. And we are here to serve your hearts today.
Oh, yes, we are. So, Bex, tell us what is a heart tuner and passion coach?
Yes. Well, I call myself a heart tuner primarily because I believe that in order to attract divine love in our life, we are really at the heart of it. What we're doing is we are tuning our hearts to the frequency of love. We're becoming the vibrational match of the love that we wish to attract. So to be a heart tuner, I help single women tune their hearts to this frequency. And the reason why I say that is, I believe that, the women in my community, I call them heart magnets. And this all kind of came out of just really reading about the heart and its electromagnetic field. And, there's science that's proven that our heart has an electromagnetic field that is even more powerful than the electromagnetic field of our brain. And our heart's electromagnetic field produces waves. And these waves can be erratic and discordant, and they could be just crazy and irregular when we are in low vibrational emotional states like fear, worry, doubt, frustration, anger. However, the heart's electromagnetic waves can be beautiful. They can be organized. They can be synchronized, and they can be almost poetic, if you will, when we are in higher vibrational emotional states like love, gratitude, appreciation, joy. And so I believe that again, coming back around to the heart's electromagnetic field, this is something that you've likely experienced in your own life. These waves are actually detectable by other individuals, and they can be detected from great distances, even before, you make eye contact with somebody, even before somebody opens their mouth, you can pick up on another person's vibration. And, you may have likely encountered this if you're at a party or a networking event, or even, speaking with friends or family, and you're in this conversation and you're going in deep, and you can just really feel like you're vibing off of the other person's energy. And this is what I believe to be when our heart's vibrations, the electromagnetic fields of our heart's vibrations, are synced up and vibrating in harmony with each other. Whereas, let's say a third person joins you in this conversation, and they arrive before they even open their mouth, before you even make eye contact, you can feel this palpable shift in the field. And you may have even heard that term before, a shift in the field. And this speaks to the field, the electromagnetic field of our combined hearts. And so this third person walking up is adding their own energy to the conversation even before they open their mouth. And perhaps their heart, maybe they're in a place of fear or worry or doubt or concern or discomfort in some way. And so they're coming to the conversation with a very different vibration of their heart's electromagnetic field. And it's palpable. We can feel it. We might look at them and be like, whoa, I don't know if I want to talk to that person. So when it comes to love, why this is important to you is because when we are wanting to become the vibrational match of the love that we're attracting, when we are wanting to tune our heart to the frequency of love, we have to be really aware of our emotional states, and we have to understand that we have power over our emotional states, and we have the ability to raise our vibration, raise our emotional states into those higher vibrational states to produce the more beautiful, organized heart waves of the electromagnetic field of the heart, so that we can really feel like we're in harmony with the people who also have that caliber of wave coming from them. Does that make sense?
Let's see here. You just cut out.
Oh.
Now you're back.
Okay.
So
what did you miss?
So I just missed that last sentence.
Sure. So I was just saying how important it is when we're attracting love to be aware of our emotional states, because our emotional states have a direct effect on the waves that our heart is producing, and therefore what we are attracting in return. And for us to attract a high vibrational person with who is also in tune with the vibration, with the frequency of love, we want to make sure that we are tuning our heart to the vibration of love by, again, just having awareness and having power over our emotional states.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that completely makes sense. And I couldn't agree more, and I would love to support you with the fact that scientifically they have measured that the heart is 100,000 times electrically stronger than the brain and 5,000 times magnetically stronger than the brain. So yes, our emotional states
power.
Yes, in creating our reality.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Would you agree that we're not used to thinking that way? We're not used to thinking from here first rather than here first.
Absolutely, yeah. And and that comes from just a lifetime of conditioning and programming and influence. And and our traditional response is a reaction. It's it's an emotional reaction rather than responding to what's going around or going on around us. And what I mean by that is, we have our patterned ways of being that are deeply grooved in our neural pathways, and those become like knee-jerk reactions. Oh, I can't do that, or oh no, he's not my type. And those are our knee-jerk reactions versus responding, which is allowing possibility in our perceptions. So questioning, well, why isn't he my type? What is my type? Is there such thing as a type? And opening the viewer as if you're like looking at your own life through the lens of a camera, just opening that scope much wider to really question what our reactions are, so that we have more of a holistic response to them.
Mm-hmm. So do you have tips for reprogramming ourselves, reconditioning to create life from here and seeing life from here rather than here?
Sure, absolutely. I think, one of the systems that I bring my clients through is sort of a paradigm reset. And in doing that, we have to understand what our paradigms are in the first place. And our paradigm is a collection of beliefs, thoughts, actions, behaviors. It's basically an operating system that we operate under that dictates the current results that we experience. So, for example, if you are experiencing no attention happening in your love life, nothing going on, or you're attracting a certain type of man, a very specific type of man, these results are like the thermostat. It's the temperature of our paradigm. So if we could consider our paradigm as our results thermostat, and if we're getting a consistent 80 degrees on the thermostat and we really want 72 degrees on the thermostat, then we've got to adjust the paradigm, the collection of beliefs, thoughts, actions, and behaviors to create different results. So the first step in this series of steps is to identify what the old paradigm is. What are your beliefs about love? What are your beliefs about yourself and love? What is it that you have either been raised to believe or have been conditioned to believe through your experience? And from what I teach my students is that our history does not dictate our destiny. So even though you may have had this historical experience dating or this historical experience in relationship doesn't mean that that is the end all be all of what you're going to experience from here on out. But in order to change that result, we've got to shift that paradigm. So we understand what the old paradigm is by looking at what are the ways that we've been, shaped or influenced, or what have we gleaned from our experience to believe this certain structured thing. And then we identify the new paradigm, which is, what is that which we desire? What is it that we're calling in? What would you love? And I run my clients through a whole visioning process where we write out a vision statement and we really identify what it is that we love. We use certain techniques using memory and the subconscious to actually adopt that vision on a cellular level, so that our subconscious believes that we actually already have that. We are already living that. And we identify the new paradigm from that vision. So who is it that you're moving into? What life is it that you're stepping into becoming? Who is it that you are becoming? How does she think? How does she act? How does she behave? And so those are your new paradigms. And then every time, and those are the things that we're looking to move into and behave in such a way that is in accordance with that new paradigm, because again, that is the vibrational match for what we're calling in. And in order to do that, of course, that old paradigm is just like grumpy old neighbor who's like on your, get off my lawn, and just always consistently knocking on our door. So we have to develop a relationship with that old paradigm and understand what it's there, why it's there showing up, what it's there trying to do for us, and consistently reject it, consistently thank it, bless it, and dismiss it. And by doing that, we take a reset breath. It just feels so good. It also brings us back into the present moment, which clears the slate of the old paradigm so that we can focus in and call in the vision, call in that new paradigm, and realign. So it's kind of a multi-step process, but again, with consistency, this will help us adjust the temperature on our thinking so that we begin to produce new results.
That was explained so beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a life practice of mine. So, and one that, I adopt in my life, I teach my clients, and, and again, it really comes back down to consistency, because it's not like a light switch that you can just flip on and all of a sudden the room is full of light. It is truly more like a thermostat, and we're going from we're either dialing up or dialing down, but it's a gradual, I have a thermostat that, when I turn the temperature up, like this morning, it was like set at like 67 or something, and I wanted it 73 degrees. It's cold out here. So, and it'll say your temperature will be achieved in like 52 minutes. So it's like, it takes a little bit of time for that temperature, that adjusting of our paradigm to actually produce results. So the consistency is important, the patience is important, and the deep knowing that this is happening. You already are becoming. You already are on the path is so important to really have in your heart and understand on a cellular level, because we'll get like a month or two in and be like, well, F this, like this isn't happening, and we fall back into our old paradigm. And the thing about the new paradigm is that it's like, I often equate it to going to the gym. If we don't go to the gym once and expect to lose 50 pounds, we have to commit to this new way of being, this commitment, this consistency of thinking differently about how I'm going to take care of my body, thinking differently about how I'm going to treat my body, thinking differently about what's possible for my body, and showing up, and showing up. And sure, we have setbacks. We go out on a bad date and you're like, well, that's just the same bullshit as I've been experiencing. Sure. So then the new paradigm is, okay, well, how does she act? Well, she takes every experience and fuels that into stepping stones on her path to what she's actually manifesting. So how can we see that experience, instead of as a setback, as actually a stepping stone towards that which you desire? And that keeps the consistency of that temperature gauge, rather than like just, I always use the image of like flipping the table over and like, I'm out of here, but that's just going to set you back further than where you began.
Wow. That is again, a beautiful explanation of the process and why it's important to have faith.
Absolutely.
Know what's happening.
Yeah.
So what does passion have to do with finding true love?
Yeah. So I believe that there are many ways, many paths of manifestation. There's no one true path. But what I often offer my clients and what I often offer my community is the path of manifestation through your own passions. And because I speak to women in my community all the time who have, just this white knuckle grip on their love life, and they're pushing and doing, and nothing's happening. They're not getting traction. They're constantly getting disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And personally, the way that I manifested my man, yes, I mean, I was absolutely on a manifestation path, but I was also at a point, it was a potentially very low point where I was breaking up with yet another person. But at the same time, I was also recognizing, gosh, this breakup is really different than the really awful breakups that I've had in the past. This breakup is actually like we're friends on the other side of it. And so I was seeing how this is okay. This is a stepping stone, even though he's not the person. And I was really devastated about that. Even though he's not my person, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm closer than I was before. Because in my opinion, the easier our breakups become, the closer we are to never having one again. So I went through this breakup. I had been fired. I was a performer at the time, and I had been fired from this gig that I was actually volunteering for. I'm like, how do you get fired from? So my head was potentially going down the toilet. And instead, I rallied that energy instead of just F this, F that, and blaming the world. I took the personal responsibility and realized, well, maybe my actions and maybe my thoughts and behaviors were not contributing to the success of these two experiences. And so for me, it was about, okay, well, what do I want? What would I love? And that line of thought led me to creating the most ambitious creative project that I had ever embarked upon, which was a 10-minute choreographed dance piece for 50 dancers. And how does that have anything to do with love? Well, it was really the practice of shifting the experience and then turning around it again, instead of blaming and, setting, just looking outside of myself, I turned inward and said, okay, well, what can I do with this energy to do better and to show up bigger in the world? And so I, divinely inspired to create this artistic piece. And I strung these two pieces of music together, and I started laughing because when I was writing out the lyrics, it spelled out a love story. And I was like, well, that's funny. I'm really doing so well in that department. And here I am creating this love story in art. But for me, it embarking on the adventure of producing this piece and recruiting all of my dancers and choreographing the piece and relaying the art to the dancers and directing them and tweaking their performance and just having that experience in leadership really elevated my confidence. It also elevated my heart's vibration. So I was becoming the vibration of love because I had so much love for this project. I had so much love for myself. And then coincidentally, simultaneously, I had completely forgotten that I had an online profile up on OkCupid, and I received this message from an extraordinary man. I like your spirit. I'd like to get to know it better. Like, who writes that? So I go out on a first date with this guy, and it turns out we have all these things in common, including our communities, which we both felt like we knew everybody in our scene, but come to find out we have over 70 friends in common. He's going to be at the event where I'm actually showcasing my performance the following weekend. He wants to know if I have anybody filming it. Would you like me to film it? Okay, yes. I'm getting a little bit into my story rather than like why passion is so important. But to, you know, to make this crazy epic long story short, fast forward a week and a half after Nick and I met, here we are at the performance. We've got hundreds of friends in the audience. There's my 50 dancers. We're performing the piece. Halfway through the piece, I'm hearing the lyrics as if for the first time. And I've gone out on 3 extraordinary dates with this guy. I've already decided, wow, he's a pretty decent man. I'm going to spend some time with him. And here we are dancing this piece. I'm hearing the love story, and I almost fell over, realizing that I'd actually written my own love story in the art piece that I had created months before. And here he was filming the piece. Here is my entire tribe that I've gathered to welcome him into my life. The name of the piece was called Hello. You know, so for me, the reason why passion plays such an important piece in this is because if we are not following our heart, if we're not doing the things that make us light up and make our heart sing, then we are not in the vibrational match. Our heart is not we're not creating the high vibration emotions that create the strong, beautiful, organized waves of our heart's electromagnetic field to attract that which we desire. So in the quickest way that I know to create those waves of joy, if you will, is to be in our bliss, is to do the things that we absolutely love doing. And whether that's going for a walk in nature every day, whether that's riding horses or being in water or traveling the world, you know, whatever it is, you got to take care of you first, girl, because if you're not in that thing that gives you life, then your heart is going to be a tell. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you meet it won't matter if you meet him. And that's the other amazing thing about this relationship that I have with my man, is that 2 years before we ever spoke, we were at an event, the same event. He was an event photographer at the time. I was a performer. He had over 30 photos of me from a performance that I had done 2 years before we ever spoke. I never saw the photos. He never posted them. So we never met. We never spoke. But after we had met and had started speaking, we came to understand that had we met at the time, neither one of us would have been ready for each other. So it doesn't matter if you meet Mr. 100%, if your heart is not in the right place, if you're not in the vibrational match of the love that you wish to attract, it's going to bypass you, and you're just going to be in the same place. So that's why for me, and in the teachings that I do, it's so important that we're in a rhythm. We're in a daily rhythm, connecting with the divine and our highest self. And we're in a seasonal rhythm, you know, connecting with our passions and the things that we love doing, creating. And, you know, and even if it's not creating, which is my primary language as an artist, but even if it's not creating, it's something that connects us with that which gives us life.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So passion, when you are connected with your passion, would you agree that that is like one of the highest expressions, living in your authenticity?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because I think that, you know, and even if it's a passion exploration, you know, even if you haven't quite landed on the thing, you know, maybe even if it's a handful of things, but again, that's really what brings you into that high vibrational electromagnetic wave of the heart. And yeah, I think that's what connects us to our truest authenticity. Yeah.
I have a very similar story. Well, it's kind of similar. Well, you know, I previously have been in many art worlds, and you know, was an artist in many ways, and before coaching. And one of the things that I love to do is listen to, you know, obscure electronic music. I'm sure you understand that, like drum and bass and
oh yeah,
deep house, and
I'm like, that's not obscure at all.
Not to you, yeah. So I would hang out in these places, you know, where that would be happening, but it's such a small pool of people in Phoenix, right?
Okay.
So I was like, man, I don't think my man exists here, you know, like, so, and I was like, well, there's, you know what Scottsdale is?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, what do I do? Do I go over there to look for him? Like, that's not really my tribe, right? And but I really held to, what, as scarily small as this little pool is, I love what happens here, and this is authentic to me, and I stayed in it, and eventually did find my man in it. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Yep. Yeah, I think, and again, it's in your case, it's a matter of perception. It's a matter of, what you believed at the time. You refused to believe, or you kept the door of possibility open that it did exist, even despite how small the tribe was. And I think that that's another thing that the women in our audience really need to take away from this conversation is that, you're going to receive a direct reflection of what you believe. And so if you believe that you're in the wrong part of the country, or your town is just full of unavailable men, or all you attract is unavailable men, that belief, again, coming back to your paradigm, is going to be the thermostat that dictates your results. And what I love about what Orchid said, you said, you believed and you stuck with it, and he showed up. So I think that there's a lot of power in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, we're both trying to relate to women in order to really put them into that space where they can, attract their right partner as fast as possible.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So Beth, what is extraordinary love to you?
That's a great question. I actually just spoke a little bit about this in a call that I gave last week. And extraordinary love to me is a number of things. It is not only equal in effort and emotion, but it also has an element of magic to it. And what I mean by that is that, it's the head shaking timing. It's the jaw dropping coincidences. It's the inexplicable and so many coincidences that are just collectively too many to be mere accident. For me and my man, it was the fact that we had been dancing around each other in the same social scene for about 5 years, and we'd never met. And when we did meet, we realized that we had over 70 friends in common. We had been at many of the same parties and events. And not only that, but he had those photos of me from 2 years before we ever spoke. And, and I think that, and on top of that, there are so many more coincidences upon coincidences, and little things like we're both left-handed, and, we both have Southern Baptist parents, and we both have a relative named, not Randolph. But, it's like Rufus, sorry, it's Rufus. Obviously they're distant relatives, but we both had the chicken pox when we were 14 years old. Who has the chicken pox when they're 14? Me and my man. It's just that so many coincidences, just too many to be a mere accident. And this is what I believe to be extraordinary love, is when all of these signs and symbols are really a representation that there is a greater power, a greater force having its hand in the two of us coming together. That, there is definitely the hand of the divine. And when we come together, and then this is the other piece that I believe to be extraordinary love, is that there's this familiarity. There's this sense of home. Like you've known this person for ages and ages, but just now you're getting used to getting to know their face, Mm-hmm. So it's the sense of, I know you, I know your soul, I know your spirit, but your physical form is just the new thing to me. So that's the fun part of exploration. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like this feeling of having known each other for lifetimes.
Mm-hmm. So what does it take to make extraordinary love last?
Oh, what a great question. A lot of humility and a lot of personal responsibility. Yeah. So, I'll draw from my own experience. And I think that we can get to this high vibrational place. We can get to this beautiful magnetic place in our heart that can attract our extraordinary love. But I mean, just because we've attained that doesn't mean that the old paradigm doesn't have its clutches on us, kind of like pulling us backward. So we have to, recognize that we are susceptible still to our old paradigm. And maybe our old paradigm has shifted a little bit, but it's still there. So we still have some of the same tendencies that maybe we once had prior to having extraordinary love in our life. So, and that for me, that shakes down to, checking my avoidant tendency, my avoidant attachment style, and making sure that I'm communicative and making sure that I'm not prioritizing work or my business above my love in my life, and so just really, knowing my own patterns and how that shakes down for your audience. Again, knowing your patterns, knowing your tendencies, knowing what your old paradigm is, knowing where your priorities fall, and and shifting and making sure that we're always looking out for our partner's well-being and we're always putting them in priority. And if not, we're always communicating and effective communicating at that.
Right. Healthy, mature.
Yes. Effective, nonviolent communication. Absolutely.
Nonviolent is key. Yes. Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your amazing insights.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Please tell us about your free gift.
Sure. I'm just going to say it's freaking awesome. It's the best free gift ever. And it's a video series for your audience to up-level the mindset. So it's 6 mindful practices to attract extraordinary love. And it's called Soulmate Love Awaits You Just As You Are. And the premise there is that you don't have to go on changing. You don't have to completely transform your whole identity, but you do need to check your mindset. You do need to be aware of the way that you think, aware of the way that you think, the way that you speak, the way that you behave, and how that affects your results. So it's a little bit of a paradigm check, and it's delivers in 3 videos, and you can get that through the link that Orchid will send you.
Yes, everybody, please click on that link below. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to find your right man. You just start making improvements. That's it.
Yep. Small tweaks, up levels in your thinking and up levels in your self-awareness, taking responsibility for your actions and the way that you move through life, and you'll go really far.
So when you click on that link below and get that free gift, you will have Bex's email address. So you can be in touch with her if you feel called to do so. Thank you, Bex.
There's also an opportunity to speak with me directly on the phone. When you go through that video series, at the end of it, if you want to, kind of get a paradigm check, or I call them heart tuning sessions, you can hop on the phone with me and we can do a little heart tuning one-on-one.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so generous.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you, Orchid.
Thank you.